This is not a subject that I particularly wanted to focus on, but spirituality knows no limits. All truth must be told in the journey of pure spiritual awakening and liberation. So today, you join me in discussing the horrors of African Americans. This does not mean I have excluded what has happened to other countries who suffered the same fate. The purpose here is to provoke divine honor and justice within the individuals seeking the truth, a comprehension beyond the useless, vacuous human systems. So, why do African Americans, despite their significant contributions, continue to struggle against systemic injustices in the United States? A question that will unsettle the collectives, yet it's crucial to ask. The answer is a complex tapestry woven with threads of history, from the shackles of slavery to the present-day turmoil. The experience of African Americans is not simply a chapter in the American story, it's a separate volume altogether. To understand this, we must transport ourselves back to the era of slavery. The African American journey in the US began in the early 17th century, not by choice, but by force. This journey, a heart-rending tale of human trafficking on an unprecedented scale, began with the transatlantic slave trade. Millions of Africans were uprooted from their homelands, packed into ships under unimaginably harsh conditions, and transported across the Atlantic to the New World. This voyage, now known as the Middle Passage, was a nightmare of human suffering. The slave trade was not just a business transaction, it was a brutal system of dehumanization that treated people as mere commodities. The captives were stripped of their identities, their cultures, and their freedoms. The inhumanity of the slave trade was staggering, and its impact continues to resonate today. This brutal beginning marked the inception of a centuries-long struggle for equality and dignity. A struggle that continues to shape the experiences and realities of African Americans in the United States today. The Civil War, a bloody conflict that nearly tore the nation apart, resulted in the end of slavery. The Emancipation Proclamation, issued by President Abraham Lincoln in 1862, declared that all enslaved individuals in Confederate-held territory were to be set free. This bold move was a significant turning point, yet it was the 13th Amendment, ratified in 1865, that ultimately abolished slavery throughout the entire United States. Following these monumental changes, the Reconstruction era began, a period marked by a push for civil rights for newly freed African Americans. However, this progress was met with fierce backlash from white supremacists who sought to maintain the racial hierarchy. Various mechanisms such as black codes and Jim Crow laws were employed to legally enforce racial segregation and economic disadvantage. Yet, despite legal freedom, African Americans found themselves trapped in a new system of racial segregation and economic disadvantage. Fast forward to the mid-20th century, a wave of change was sweeping across the nation. The Civil Rights Movement, a pivotal era in American history, ignited with a spark from the brave Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery bus. This act of defiance led to the Montgomery bus boycott, a year-long protest that signaled the beginning of a revolution. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a prominent figure in the movement, championed peaceful protests and powerful speeches that echoed the cries for freedom and equality. His "I Have a Dream" speech remains a beacon of hope and a call to action for racial harmony. Then came the Civil Rights Act of 1964, a landmark legislation that outlawed racial segregation, followed by the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which ensured African Americans the right to vote. These legislative triumphs marked significant strides towards equality. Yet, the journey was far from over. The end of the 20th century and the dawn of the 21st brought new challenges. Racial profiling, police brutality, and economic disparities emerged as pressing issues. The names of Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, and George Floyd, among many others, became rallying cries for justice, leading to movements like Black Lives Matter. In the face of these challenges, African Americans have continued to rise, contributing to society in innumerable ways. From the arts to politics, from sports to academia, their resilience and achievements have shaped the nation. Despite this, the legacy of slavery and systemic racism casts a long shadow. The disproportionate impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on African American communities, the racial wealth gap, and the school-to-prison pipeline are stark reminders of this reality. While strides have been made, the ripple effects of slavery and systemic racism are still felt today. The fight for equality continues, as America strives to reconcile with its past and build a future where all its citizens are truly free and equal. History, as they say, is a great teacher. Do you think that's what happened? Has history truly taught humans anything? Are better now than then? As it lays bare the roots of our present, let that sink in deep inside your brain for a moment. Let that eat you up inside. Let it keep you awake at night, because it is most important and the only thing worth comprehension. Have humans learned from their terrifying past history? The answer is yes and no. Yes, because there is 1% of individuals who have learned from that horrific history and want to do better for the present. And no, because 99% of the world has not learned from the horrors of the past history. These majority of individuals have figured out how to lie to you without you noticing that they have lied to you until it's too late. They are still enslaving people, but this time it's done systematically and the entire world is on board with this system. This time the slaves get to vote who their masters will be. The echoes of a past steeped in pain and struggle, and so is our continuous present. They are still trafficking people, they are still selling children, they are still killing people for natural resources. In truth, nothing has changed. They have just become smarter in doing their dirty deeds and even have the audacity to blame you for it. That's how good they are, and sadly, they are absolutely right. The people are to blame for allowing such a terrible and horrible system to thrive. It's crucial that we comprehend this horrible history and actually refuse to be part of this history in any nation. They should not oppress us anymore. They have long used fear to govern us. They need us more than we need them. There is no politics without the people. The African American journey from bondage to freedom is a remarkable story. However, it is apparent to me that America or any nation that has exercised slavery is unforgivable. They can shout out God's name all they want. Their God is the devil. They are really good actors, just like their God. To truly grasp the systemic injustices that persist today, we must never associate ourselves with such entities in any way. What's sad here is, and this is very painful to say, the African Americans accepting that they are African Americans, considering how they got there. That's truly sickening. Anyone who disagrees is part of the problem of this parasitic dark system. The fact that the African Americans are still facing constant injustice, suffering, being killed every day, and they still choose to call themselves African American is very sad. I understand they are victims, but they should know they have free will now and forever. So get up and leave. That land is not worthy of you. You have struggled long enough. Get out of the Devil's City. You deserve much, much, much better. So much better. The land of America is dry and has no natural resources. It is not the land of opportunity. Take your smarts and athleticism to a place that deserves to see it, a place you can inspire, a place of your true origins, not a place that is using you like animal slave, a place that see you as a monkey jumping around, entertaining them while they bid, feast and laugh at you. You deserve to see the light within you. This goes out to anybody in the world. It's not just about learning at educational institutions and feeling smart and empathetic towards the knowledge you have learned. It's about comprehension beyond the norms of politics. Challenge yourself to not be like them. This is, of course, almost impossible for the ordinary human being, since fear is the main entity of thought and emotion that governs all humans. But the truth does not love any liars. So the question must be asked, do you want to be ordinary or extraordinary? We must refuse the abuse of the political systems. They have reigned long enough. We must summon the courage to not be like them. These dark parasites that operate the system should not be your motivation. Your inspiration should be against them. That should be the determination. They are just people who have been given a power to stand in front of you and spit out orders from the devil himself. A power that appears to be enlightening, but in truth, it is a power that spreads darkness. They do not deserve to stand in front of you and speak. That's a power they are not worthy of ever. Be better than these people at any angle, because they are not what they seem. They are demons hiding in human skin. That is the scary part.